Hello, everybody. We're here again with another Sunday Reads or Weekly Reads with Brandy from the Book Eclectic, and and Jenny's here.
Hi, Jenny.
Red hands, or is that pink hands? I'm not sure.
It's pink.
Okay, so at least I've read something this week. I can
Nice.
at least talk about one thing though. I'm not finished it yet, but I could talk about something. Have you read more this week as well, or
Yeah, I've read three
uh,
things.
is that you read three?
Three.
Oh, I thought you went three.
I had my hand turned, so it just looked like I was holding up two.
And Aaron's here. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Would it be useful if YouTube would show Brandy time for these lives?
Are you trying to say I'm late to the lives?
Politely, I think he is.
Well, I can't really argue with that because it's true.
And Jenny's saying hello to Aaron and Mark.
Jenny, I'm really excited to see you in Alive on the 19th.
Is it the 19th or 18th? That's the Sunday. Whatever date the Sunday is.
It's the 19th.
By a minute and a half, Randy.
Hi, Randy. Oh,
We
Randy, don't worry about being late. I would never ever be late, but I totally forgive anybody else who would be late.
might as well put these up while we're waiting for everybody else to come out on board. Yeah, I've been reading pretty good, but I'll let you start first if you wanted to go, or was there anything else you wanted to talk about first?
No, that's okay. I'll go ahead and talk about my book. So, the first book I read since the last time we did this was The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. It's a thriller about a group of teenagers who survived a horrible car crash and flood and it's like 20 years later or something like that. And they meet up every year at this particular cabin in a vacation spot, and just kind of hang out together for a week and sort of bond or whatever. And then what ends up happening is they each suspect that somebody in the group is a killer. And I don't want to say anything else about it because if somebody wants to read it, I don't want to give away anything else about the story because, don't want to remove the thrill from the thriller. But most thrillers aren't that great, and yet I continue to read them. I don't know why, but this one was one of the few that was really, really good. I really, really liked this. I thought it was so well done. I loved the story. The ending wasn't like a big surprise or anything, but it was so well done. I didn't even care. I really, really enjoyed this a lot. Plus, I really liked the colors on this cover.
Is that a book a month club one or?
Yeah, it's a book of the month club book. I do book of the month club. I don't get a book every month because they don't really have a lot of good ones, but it's like the only place I ever get my thrillers because most of the stuff I do like from them ends up being thrillers, or most of the stuff I'm interested in, I should say, ends up being thrillers. So yeah, all my thrillers come from them.
Got a few questions here. Randy wants to know, what does your T-shirt say, Randy?
It says
Alcohol.
something that you will laugh at, Randy. It says, okay, let's see. I can't even read it now. Alcohol, let's see. Something about the answer being at the bottom of a bottle of alcohol. I cannot remember. Can you read it? What does it say?
Um, Alcohol may not be the answer, but it's something, a shot. It's worth a shot. Okay,
First
yeah.
shot. Okay, there
Okay.
you go.
And Aaron's saying that Brandy's never late. YouTube and Sean are always early.
That's right. That's right, Aaron.
And talking about Jenny's coming on the live, I made the mistake of mentioning it in Gareth's live stream and now can't back out. Well, that's
Yep, now
good.
you trapped. You got to make your appearance.
And Aaron says it's a rookie mistake. Uh, I know, but it's good to be held accountable. And Randy likes the T-shirt.
I knew he'd get a kick out of that.
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Yeah. I had planned on drinking my wine while we were doing this live, but I was so focused on getting a bottle of water that I forgot I wanted a glass of wine. So too late.
So, what else have you read?
Yeah, I read a short story called In Bloom by Paul Tremblay. And I've been reading these Amazon original series. This one is, I can't remember what it's called, like Creature Feature or something like that, the series is. And this was actually a pretty decent short story. It was kind of a blob-like creature in the story, only made of algae, like a blob, only it was algae instead of some gelatinous thing. And it was pretty good. I liked it.
The name's familiar, or maybe
Paul
just
Tremblay?
the surname. Yeah, maybe just the surname is
Well, Paul
reminding.
Tremblay's written a number of novels, a number of bestsellers. Let's see, The Cabin at the End of the Woods or The Cabin at the End of the World or something was a big one that went around on YouTube for a while.
Yeah, I might
Um,
have seen his name then. Yeah.
he's written a number of things. The other titles are not coming to me at the moment, though. Somebody in the comments might know.
Jenny says, well, yeah, in reply to Randy, she worked retail, so take the lobotomy. Yeah, I know what that's like. And Gareth's here. Hi, Gareth.
Gareth?
I said, oh, I bought all of them, but I haven't gotten to them yet. Getting more excited to get to them.
Wait,
Uh,
bought all of what?
that creature feature thing you must be. I'm
Oh yeah,
assuming
yeah.
it means.
Yeah, well, I get them free from being an Amazon Prime subscriber. I don't know how much they cost normally. Jenny can tell us though. But yeah, I really like them. There's a little science fiction series. Well, there's a couple of science fiction series that are really good too.
Is that the Tor stuff that you were talking about before, or the?
No, it's Amazon Originals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you
And
want to talk about what you're reading, or did you want me to do my last book?
I only have one thing to talk about, and I'm not finished it yet. So you might as well go ahead.
Okay. Well, then the last thing I read this week was a buddy read with Randy, actually, and it was Psycho by Robert Bloch. Psycho. And so when I started this, I thought this was going to be like a 5-star read. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it was really, really good all the way until the reveal where Norman is trying to kill Lillian or whatever her name was. And we learn that he is dressed up like his mother. So up from that point on, it was really anticlimactic and really disappointing. I was very disappointed in how this book went out. The way he wrote that ending, the way he wrote the reveal, like the reveal moment itself was good, then immediately after it was like right downhill. It was just immediately disappointing after you find out who Norman is. And then he just droned on and on and on and had to explain every single little thing about Norman's psychology and his history and everything, even though he'd already told us about it through conversations with other characters in the book. And there were things that were implied in the book, heavily implied, like we get it that this is what he's implying, but then he felt like he had to explain all that at the end of the book. It was just like you read this fabulous book and then you get to the end and he's like, okay, well, let me go back and explain the entire book I just wrote to you in detail so that you will understand it. And it was very off-putting. So it was very disappointing. I was very disappointed rather with the ending of this book.
It sounds like it would have had a better punch as a book if it just ended with the reveal of him being his mother, and then end. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, it would have been. Or even if he had just revealed that it was Norman, and then Norman was taken down, and then that's the end of the book. But that wasn't the end of the book. It was just, yeah, it was ruined for me. But when Randy and I were discussing this, I just figure back in the time that this was written, it was published in 1959. People were only like, even the professionals in mental health were just then starting to really put pieces together about mental illness. and the general population really didn't know anything about it. You know, you were either crazy or you weren't, you know, and people didn't really have a concept of mental illness, or at least not that much. And so I figure maybe he was just explaining all that for people who wouldn't understand any of it. I don't know, but either way, in 2024, it absolutely ruined the book for me. So
Yeah, but it was also written at the time of the Twilight Zone, so it could have had that nice twist of a Twilight Zone twist at the end to just find out it
right.
was him.
Yeah, and it could have been, he could have done that, but he didn't. He just droned on and on. I was really. Now, I mean, I will say, like, at the end, when Norman is in the mental institution, the asylum, I guess it is an asylum, there were some really nice lines at the end that I really liked. Like, at the end of it, we're inside of Norman's head, and his own personality has gone completely away. The personality of his mother has completely and totally taken over, and she's sitting in the room, and she says, if she sat there without moving, they'd know that she was sane, sane, sane. She sat there for quite a long time, and then a fly came buzzing through the bars. It lighted on her hand. If she wanted to, she could reach out and swat the fly, but she didn't swat it. She didn't swat it, and she hoped they were watching, because that proved what sort of person she really was, why she wouldn't even harm a fly. So I really liked that I loved that whole piece right there. So if we could retain that, what I mean? But get rid of everything in between, it would be great.
I'm going to jump ahead to a couple
Comments?
comments to Gareth here. It says, oh, come on. Some groundbreaking books have their faults. Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
And then let's go back here. Gareth says he likes your Babylon 5 video.
Thank you, Gareth. And I will have no comment, Sean.
And Jenny is talking about those. Most were 99p each. I think
Oh,
two were
nice.
199.
That's great.
So yeah, I've been doubling up with two events, sort of. I'm cheating on the horror mayhem because it's supposed to be 250 pages or less, and I'm reading
The terror.
by Dan Simmons, published 2007. And in my edition, it's 934 pages long. So it's a bit long, but it's about the ill-fated. The other event is spring into adventure, so it's adventure. So it works double duty. Uh, and it's about the ill-fated Franklin expedition from 1845, and they don't really know exactly what happened to them. So Dan Simmons is creating this. It's really good. Like it's like it's very suspenseful and eerie, with some supernatural horror. Like it's you don't really know what's going on in the characters, which are all real characters. They were all real, the real sailors and officers on the ships, on HMS Terror and HMS Erebus.
Did wait, who's the author?
Dan
Dan
Simmons.
Simmons. Dan Simmons, right. Did Dan Simmons actually like research the lives and stuff of the crew of that ship and insert that into
He
the
did.
book?
He
Nice.
did. Yeah, that's it.
Well,
He's got an acknowledgments, and it's kind of funny. The first couple books that he mentions are ones that I've read. One is called Frozen in Time. It was an excavation that was done on some of the bodies, on some of the graves, and then Pierre Burton's Arctic Grail, which is a history of the search for the Northwest Passage.
oh,
And I have a bit, not a connection to this, but in the early 90s, I had a chance to go on excavation for the Franklin expedition, and I chose doing something else. And it's sort of like one of two things. I had chances a couple of times of doing some
yeah,
excavations, and in hindsight, I'd say I wish I would have
yeah,
went.
right, right.
But yeah, he's got stuff so detailed. It's like I won't give away any spoilers because I haven't finished it yet. But there's one character that gets his throat sliced and gets eviscerated. and I
Oh
won't
my
say how
gosh.
like that, but oh, he's really good at giving the details of all this gruesome stuff. It's really, really good. So if you're not into that, you may not like it, but he does it so well. But anyway, this character, you know, he's a real character, a real sailor, a real officer. And I was wondering if he was one of the officers that were excavated, and if his body was found that way, because the ones that were done in the 80s excavated, they were just frozen, and their bodies were still whole. But he actually was found earlier in the 1800s, and it was only a skeleton. So he gets
Oh,
away with that because there'd be no way to know, right? But then there's a few personal artifacts that that are mentioned in the book. One is given away to someone, but then I read in the grave goods that item is in the grave with him. And I'm going, okay, well, he missed the beat there. But then 20 pages later, we figure out how that item gets back into the grave. So
okay. So
he does all this stuff.
that sounds really cool. Now, I would have liked to have read that with you and Nathan, but you know, book trek's about to start, and I wanted to do the books that I had already planned for this month. But I will probably be reading. I shouldn't say definitely. I will probably be reading that in October. But I'm kind of concerned now. Is there a lot of gore in there? Like you said, the guy's throat was slit and stuff like that. Is there a lot of that in the book? So I'm
Every
not
time
super big on
somebody
gore.
dies pretty well, or they have to do something, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty
Oh,
graphic.
well, I don't know. I'm less excited to read that book now.
Hey, you've seen my leg. It was. It can't be any worse than that.
Well, you got a point there.
But yeah, he's really good at that, and it's there's a few things that um had I have a bit of problem with. They're not a problem, but I'll wait to see I'm ending. It just seems like there's two chapters in there that I'm going. They're almost like he's contriving something to give more information that like Mark was saying this, that he did all this extra research. So how can I get this into the story? Okay, I'll create this and I'll put it into the story.
Well, it sounds like it's really well written. Well,
Oh, it
tell
is.
me,
He's really, really good. Um, yeah. And Mark's saying, yeah, there's some cannibalism as well. So,
fun. Oh God.
but it's a kind of thing where, is it horror really? See, this is the thing. It's like there's enough in there that there's some supernatural possibilities for it. But these
Mm-hmm,
are this is like this. The real situation was they went
mm-hmm,
up in 1854. They got stuck in the ice for 3 winters because they didn't have a summer thaw. They had
mm-hmm.
provisions theoretically. If they were rationing, they could have lived for 7 years on these provisions. And they had canned food, and it was some of the early canned foods. So it had lead soldering in it, and also it wasn't a lot of it went bad because it wasn't canned properly, and there was botulism. So these guys were doubly screwed because they got lead poisoning and botulism
Right.
and scurvy at the same time, you know, all together, you know, and in temperatures that could go as low as uh, uh, as uh, as a minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you know. And so like all this stuff, and this is the thing, that's what I really like about Dan Simmons. It's only taken me 30 some years to read another book of his other than the Hyperion Cantos, but he really like he lifts descriptions from the real thing, because the a couple of those books that I mentioned I haven't read in a long time. Mark was reading it recently, and he's noticed that he's taken the descriptions verbatim from there sort of and wrote it into the fictional thing and worked it into the story. And I read you are I have problems sometimes with reading stuff that are set in Victorian times. You would never know that they're in the Victorian times, other than today. You wouldn't know because there's no descriptions of anything. When there's so much stuff out there that they could look at this stuff and just go, oh, I'll just rewrite that as a description. Like he's creating the characters, he's changing the characters probably of what they were. Well, I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
they are. He's not very complimentary to some characters,
Mm.
but the surroundings I think are just spot on, and that's that. Like I definitely want to read more of him. I have about 150 pages left, I think.
Nice.
200, just over 200 pages. So hopefully,
How do you think the writing style for the Terror compares to the writing style of the Hyperion Cantos?
well, it's different because the first Hyperion book is sort of stories being told in retrospect, each person telling their story. But this
Mm-hmm.
one, he jumps around in sort of time a little bit, and he talks about what happened. There's what's happening now, and then he'll have a chapter what happened last year or months before that will connect. And he does isolate characters and have them, you see it through things through their eyes. So it's different, but the style of writing, like, it's very easy to read. He's very, very clear, and everything
Mm-hmm.
too. And like I say, his descriptions are just fantastic. And another huge thing that I loved about this is that these ships had libraries on them.
Mm-hmm. Oh
HMS
yeah, you were
Terror,
telling me that.
yeah,
Yeah.
had 1,200 books, a library, and HMS Erebus had 1,700 books, and the officers and sailors would have had others. So between the two ships, there would have been over 3,000 volumes.
That's really cool. I didn't have any idea that ships of that time period would have had extensive libraries. I mean, I would think really only cruise ships would have libraries on them, really.
Yeah, well, it makes kind of makes sense because it was the Discovery Service, and I don't know if it was before that, but the Discovery Service was a part of thing of I think it was named after the HMS Discovery, but it was for exploration. So and they were to gain knowledge and stuff. So why not?
Yep, that's true. That's an
And
excellent point.
that could be the reason why. I don't know, but I'm
No,
guessing
that's
it
a
is.
really good guess, I think.
And also too, like, Mark has been reading up on some other stuff, and he lists other things they had, like they had classes for people to learn, like sailors, if they didn't know how to read, to teach them to read if they want to.
Oh, that's nice.
And there's two characters in here which are really
Mhm.
cool, that they both are huge readers, but they're not, that they're just lowly. Well, one's a semi, I guess he is an officer, but the other one is just a steward. He just looks after the captains. Um, and but they read, like, he's very knowledgeable. He's read tons of stuff,
Hmm.
and that I found kind of neat. And it's like you don't see that shown at times where people did read it at then. They weren't just upper class.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of neat. Let
Yes.
me look at some get behind comments here. Brandy, why would you pass up the chance to read The Terror for stories about space wizards with laser swords?
Stories about space wizards and what is he talking about? What book?
Well, he
Oh,
might be.
Book Trek, duh.
Yeah,
Okay, laser sword. You're thinking of Star Wars. I
yeah,
hope
but
that was a joke.
Jenny keeps asking if Star Trek has the uh, lightsabers in. So I think he's conflating the two.
I
They're
gotcha,
fine.
gotcha. All right, well,
Um,
let's hope that was a joke, Aaron. I don't know if I'd forgive you if you actually mixed that up legitimately.
Jenny's saying, I hope they remembered to season their colleagues.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's like, and the one thing is like, oh, they got some fresh meat and they're eating it, and like Franklin keeps in his delirium keeps saying, I never ate human flesh, and he repeats this over and over. It's like, you doth protest too much. But then,
Yeah, right.
but he remembers, like, somebody's eating, they go, wait a minute, is that a tattoo on my food? I won the race though. I'm not sure what that's referring to.
Yeah,
I've lost
I can't think of what that is either.
lost the thread. The definition of horror has morphed. I've noticed, so it's not just the super. It has that's the thing, and that's I don't care. Like people would call the horror the graphic descriptions of the stuff that happens here. To me, that's not horror. It can be horrific, but I really like supernatural horror. I don't care for the stuff that is, but unless it's done like this, like it fits for this. But if it's just done for the purpose of trying to gross you out, eh. Let's see. I used to think stories based on reality, like serial killers, etc., were thrillers, but that idea is out of date now. But yeah, I mean, see, to me, that's not a horror. I still refuse to accept that as horror. Mark's here. Well, we
I'm
got
Mark.
two Marks. Uh, oh yeah, yeah. See, Mark's all happy because usually I'm the one that finishes the book, but he started before I did, so and I am a bit behind. I should have been finished today, but I hopefully will finish it tomorrow. But yeah, I really like if you like anything historical, if you like exploration type stuff, and I think it's a great book. It's long, but it doesn't feel long. It's like I can read a 150-page book and it feels like it's massive because you
Hmm.
don't like it. And this, it doesn't feel like it's long.
Hmm. Yeah, I will probably give it a try in October, but I don't know about all the graphic violence and stuff. That's funny.
Jenny says serial killers might get classed as slashers, but they usually aren't normal killers. Oh, I love Hyperion, the whole Cantos, the 4 volumes, and even the short story that's the sequel to it all. And
Well,
I'm going to do a read next year of it. There's two things I'm doing. Is the Hyperion Cantos next year and it's all part of the science fiction adventure stuff. Hyperion and the River World series by Philip Jose Farmer. Next year, I'm gonna do those as two read throughs because I don't mind rereading Hyperion again. It's 5 or 6 times I've read
well,
it. I'll read it
I'm
again.
gonna give it one more try because as you know, Sean, the first time I tried to read it, I had to DNF it. I was not into it. But I'm gonna give it one more try and try to get through the whole thing this next time and see
Well,
where I end up.
did you get through to the part with the priest on the Tesla trees? That's pretty graphic too.
I think I DNF'd it in the middle of the third story, maybe. I don't remember for
I
sure.
can't remember which one that is.
Now, I feel like I read the first one and I DNF'd it either in the middle of the second one or in the middle of the third one. I don't remember.
I can't remember which one it is, but they're fabulous, and I'm definitely going to read more of Dan Simmons now. I don't know why I've waited over 30 years to do it. Yeah. Oh, was it an SF channel? There was a movie. I watched a movie, and it was absolutely horrid. If the SF channel one, it might be a little better.
I remember there being a series somewhere called River World.
So that might be better if it actually they did it because they did the best Dune. Is Riverworld the series that has fighters from throughout time, all mysteriously? Yeah, no, that is. It's basically every human being that has ever lived all of a sudden wakes up on the shore of this, on a different planet, somewhere in the or in the universe, along this winding river throughout this planet. Every human being that's lived. And the main character is Sir Richard Francis Burton, and I love it too that Philip Jose Farmer has this weird sense of humor. It's like Jesus wakes up and he's a bit confused. See, is Psycho? I wouldn't call Psycho a horror. I would not call Psycho a horror story.
It's a horror story. I mean, especially for its day, it was definitely horror. That
It,
was probably.
it has no supernatural to it, so to me, it's not. All it is a thriller. It's like a slasher thriller type thing,
Well, by today's standards, it's a horror.
but not by my standards. Yeah, like Mark says too, the SF channel was excellent with Dune. So yeah, if they did Riverworld, they might have done that well. It's just there was a movie I watched, and oh god, it was absolutely horrid. I don't even think Richard Burton was even the main character. Uh, yeah, I don't think Richard Burton was the main character. But of course, Richard Burton, being Richard Burton, needs to find the source of the river. And then anybody, you can't really die there. If you die, like drown, like is Richard Burton's preferable way of escaping is drowning, and then you just wake up somewhere else on the river again.
Wow. Was the book good?
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. I've only read it once, but I've been collecting the stuff, and I've got the main books, but he also wrote some short stories and other. Uh, I think there was 3 volumes that were published that had a couple short stories from him and then other writers. So I there's one of those I still need to get. I think. Mark said he didn't watch Riverworld, but remember ads for it. Yeah,
Yeah. Me too, Mark.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look for that. Yeah, but yeah, that's my thing for next year. So that should take part of the year anyway. That's for sure. Because I don't mind rereading Hyperion. And if you were gonna read this next year, I'd probably wind up rereading again. I'm sure I'll reread this again as well.
Are you
It's
talking
definitely
about me?
sorry.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Oh, October. Oh,
yeah,
it'll be this year, October.
yeah. It's probably too soon for me. And there's other things in October I think I want to read.
Yeah, I want to finish the M.R. James ghost stories this October as well.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, I'm not sure if I misreading. I'm out of kilter because it's usually every other year I read them, but I'm not sure where I'm at this point. But yeah, To Your Scattered Bodies Go, which is yeah, it's the first novel, and it's a line from a poem, and I can't remember who the poet is, but it's a line from a
What's
poem.
that? What's that? The first book? What series?
Riverworld.
Oh, I didn't realize it was a series. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not long books. They're fairly short. But that was actually the published book form. There was a novella that he did, I think, just called River World, maybe, and then there
Mhm.
was the magazine version, and then the final. It's a fix up novel basically. The first one.
I see.
And Gareth saying yes. It's just I think to TBR. Yeah, yeah. I don't know when next year, but I just know that that's going to happen for that. But yeah,
Are
I've
you gonna
definitely.
Are you gonna read a Lonesome Night in October, Sean?
Which one's that?
The one that me and Nathan were talking about. A
Oh,
Night in Lonesome October.
yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll have to see if I can get
A copy of it.
a copy. Yeah. Um, Mark said he just finished Ringworld, but never thinking of continuing on with that. Yeah, I don't know. I've only read a few of them. I think it's gone sprawling, hasn't it? That series by Niven. I think he went sprawling with it. Like there were tangential storylines and everything.
I do not know how far that starts. I only read the first one, and I read it a really long time ago. And I remember that I liked it, but I remember there was some weird sex stuff in it or something. So,
Jenny, yeah, there's 5. The last one is Gods of Riverworld, and in the first edition trade hardcover, Louise Brooks is on the cover. So that means Louise Brooks is resurrected there as well. And Gareth saying he was massively disappointed by Ringworld, didn't like it.
Yeah, well,
What?
I was real young, like 14 or something when I read it.
And Mark says he reads it for the weird sex stuff. But yeah, so that's my. I'm already making plans for next year.
What's Jenny referring to here?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Well, Sean, you need to stay on top of these comments better.
I'm not sure what she's referring to there fully, but maybe the Ring World stuff. I don't know. Oh, arriving on the river. Oh,
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
well, you got everybody there, so you got because what happens is everybody, the humans are humans, so they're there for long enough, and you've got Hitler there as well. You've got everybody that's ever lived, Genghis
Hitler.
Khan. So they try to do what they do best, or what they did in their lives. They create
Wow.
little societies along the river. And you also have Samuel Clemens, and he builds himself a riverboat.
That's hilarious.
So uh, yeah, I think it's fabulous. But Jenny, you were asking if you need anything else. You don't really need the other ones are short stories, and then there's the original novella or story that it was. But you can do without those. These are sort of tangential and extra stories that have been written, and only a few of them by Philip Jose Farmer. The others are by other ones, but I like reading those as well. Could try it for Rocket Summer. But if you're talking about Ring World, isn't that's too late? That's 70s, isn't it? Hmm. Yeah, Lucifer's Hammer, a Footfall. Yeah. I like what's the other one? That's the Mote in God's Eye. It's fabulous. That's a fabulous one. Yeah, I think it's a bit too late.
What are the parameters for Rocket Summer anyway?
Well, it's 4 weeks, so it's anything pre 1930, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. No, wait, no, anything pre 1940, 1950s, 1960s. No, sorry, pre 1940, 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s.
Okay.
So he's put it up to 1970. Yeah, the Mote in God's Eye is really good. The sequel, not so much, but uh, what's a Gripping Hand or whatever it was called. But yeah, the Mote in God's Eye. You'd like it, uh, Brandy, because it's sort of the spaceship on there has a Scottish engineer, if I remember right. It's basically set up like the Enterprise with the crew.
Interesting.
If I remember right, it's a long time since I read it. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to Rocket Summer, and I gotta see if I can twist Michael K. Vaughan's arm for having the group read for the last one, All Flesh is Grass by Stella.
So, what month is Rocket Summer? July?
July. Yeah,
Well, I can't participate. I'm doing book trek and nothing but book trek.
yeah. You won't be able to. Well, you won't. Well, if you follow the prompts, you won't be able to fit it in with that. But the
Rocket
thing
Summer.
is that if you want to read something later, and it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Mixing it with book trend and general attention to sci-fi. So me, I won't. I want to read Project Hail Mary and Cage of Souls. And they're within the last 5 years. Yeah, I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
Project Mary was written by Andy Weir, the same guy who wrote The Martian.
Oh, okay.
That one's also on my list for sometime this year, probably November. I may like it just a little.
And Jenny liked Project Hail Mary. So yeah, but I've only read. Well, is that the one? Who wrote that short story about the aliens? Then learning their language. Is that the same? Is
Oh,
that Peter Weir?
Ted Chiang. Ted Chiang.
Okay, so different writer. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't. I've got. I think the other one that you mentioned, but I can't
The other,
think of.
the other book I mentioned.
Yes,
What did I mention?
well, same author that wrote the
Oh,
Project
The
Hail
Martian. The Martian.
Mary. Yeah, I think I've got. Do I have the Blu-ray and then do I have the book and I just never got around to reading it? I think I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. I don't recall you ever mentioning The Martian.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I saw the movie in the movie theater, but I didn't read the book until last year.
I think I might have the Blu-ray for it. I'm not sure.
I have it on Amazon digital version.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything on mentioning that. I haven't watched anything on Netflix this past week. I started last week at some point the British version of Being There, where a werewolf, vampire, and a ghost live together.
Well, you
Uh,
have to watch that movie Circle. It's
yeah,
one of
I'll
it's
get
one of
around
my
to it.
all-time favorite movies.
It's a great adaptation. Very little was changed. Oh, that's unusual. Unless he wrote it knowing that it was going to be a script.
Wait, which book are we talking about?
The Martian.
Oh, no, he didn't write it knowing it was going to be a script. He actually wrote it on what's the thing called where you can write things and publish it and people can read it? I forgot what that's called. Well, he just wrote it in pieces as like journal entries or whatever and published it for free on whatever that platform is. And I think it got picked up from there. But I know originally he was just publishing it on an online platform in pieces.
Um, and Mark says he watched all three prequels for Star Wars last night, never seen before. I haven't seen
Really,
them.
Mark, you've only just now watched the prequel? I'm shocked.
I've never seen them. But is that the one with Ewan McGregor? Or one of them has Ewan McGregor? I
Yeah.
really want to meet Ewan McGregor at a convention. And if anybody knows, he was in Train Spotting. And there's a scene in Train Spotting. It's a drug-induced scene where he goes down a toilet and comes out a toilet, and it's the worst. And the sign says the worst toilet or in Scotland.
Oh
And what
my.
I want him to write on a picture that he's Obi-Wan Kenobi is out of the worst toilet in Scotland to the biggest toilet in the universe, signed by him. And I want him to do that. And I'll ask him if I ever got a chance. I want him to write that on the picture.
Oh my God.
Uh, being human is fun for his. Yeah, I'm on. Oh yeah, I'm on the last few episodes of the second season. I'd seen some of it before. I watched the American version, which I didn't think was very good. It was really simplified down, and the actor that they played for that they had for the vampire just gives me the creeps. Was it Wattpad?
Yeah, it was Wattpad.
Uh, Mark,
Thank you, Jenny. I couldn't think of what it was called.
uh, Star Wars fan. I think they're very patchy, and I'm known for liking everything. Yeah, was that opening night of the original movie? Oh, oh, Mark, that's really making me. I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Well, I was born when the original movie came out, but I wasn't quite old enough to go because I think it came out in '78 and I was born in '75.
Well, 76, I think, wasn't it? Or 77?
I don't remember for sure. It was around there.
I know, like, I never, because where I grew up, we were like 150 miles away from a cinema, a theater. And it was only, I think it was 1970, 78, but I'm not sure which one I saw first. I either saw the original not Star Wars, Superman movie, or Moonraker, and I'm not sure which one came first because I saw them fairly close to each other. That was the first time because our parents had to take it. I was 12 years old. It was at the time, and you can't get 150 miles to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Mark asks, "Is Clone Wars animated any good?"
Never saw any animated Star
I never
Wars stuff.
did animated Star Wars.
Well, there was the Adventures of C-3PO and R2-D2, whatever that was called. That was animated. I think I may have saw some of that, but I don't directly remember it.
And Jenny says, well, no, let's go back to this. It's okay, but lots of people absolutely love the series Clone Wars and the series Rebels. The movie kicks it off, though. Don't know. Jenny says she wasn't even born yet.
When were you born, Jenny?
Yeah, I still got to do I still got to do my video called Star Wars, in quotes, Star Wars is crap.
Yeah, you're gonna get some hate for that.
You were born in 1984.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that young. I mean, I guess that's not young, but I mean, it seems young. I don't know. I forget how old I actually am now.
Well, I was 18 in 1984.
Well, I was 9. I was a little tyke still.
I was already an adult when Star Wars came out. That makes it worse, Mark. That makes it worse. Here is it, Mark. I also saw Star Wars on opening night. Fellow old guy. I probably would have if it was anywhere close. I didn't see it until about 1982 or 83 on video cassette. It says, I would genuinely like to know what that anti-Star Wars video would look like, as you like pulpy things that it draws from. As I said, it's quotation marks. Is it going to be anti? Does that mean it's anti-Star Wars?
Wait, Sean, have you seen Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you see Star Wars? I think you said, but I forgot.
Yeah, in the early 80s on
In the
video
80s,
cassette.
okay. Okay, but you haven't seen any of the extended stuff, right?
No, I seen the Empire Strikes Back, I think in the cinema, and Return of the Jedi in the cinema.
Well, I meant outside the original trilogy.
No, I haven't seen anything, no.
Okay. 40. I liked 40. It kind of went downhill after 40, but 40 was great.
Yeah, slowly. Definitely slowly in my case, but yeah, well, they're Mark's a few years older than I am, but not too much. It's like I have to think about my age at times. It's like, I kept saying that I was this age, and it was like, well, wait a minute. No, I'm a year later.
Yeah. I experienced the thing where somebody says, "Oh, well, that's just so old." And it was something that I was into when I was a teenager or in my early 20s. And I was like, well, that's not old. I guess it kind of is, because it just seems like some kind of a mistake or something, like, really? That can't be old, can it?
Jenny, it just gets worse. Well,
sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, the strange thing is, like, with the last time that you couldn't make it, had Amy from To Think of Books.
Yeah.
And like she was born in 1994.
Oh, God. No, my son was born in 1992. So, yeah. She's
but
younger than even my son.
but it's so weird because I remember like 1994 is like I'd already been to Jordan, like I've done all this stuff, you know.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
other weird thing is because she grew up like well, I've said this over and over, but I find it kind of weird that we've never well we have probably met because like um, she grew up in a town nearby where I lived in Canada, and there was
Hmm.
always a book sale there, and I would go to see it. Like in the early 2000s, I would go to that book sale, and she said she always went with her mother, but she would have been like 8 or 9 years old. So
Yeah.
chances are we were in the same room together, and
Yeah.
and then it's like you get to know somebody on YouTube half across the globe, and you realize, wait a minute, how did
Yeah.
this work out?
Yeah. Yeah.
If it hurts, you still have it.
Oh, that's funny.
Aches and pains are better than the alternative. What? No pains?
Better than being dead.
But yeah, but it is weird because there's somebody else that comments too that's from the town that I was in, that I lived too. And then there's that singer too that's even younger than that. Like she would have been, when I left, she would have been like 5 or 6 years old. She's a great
Mhm.
singer, and like I kept saying that, why weren't you around singing when I was there? And then I started to realize, oh,
Yeah.
that's why. That's why.
Yeah.
Jenny says, no, it's not. I'm an immature adult. Pain reminds me that I'm not a kid.
Well, what are your reading plans after you read the Tear, Sean? What are you reading next?
The very next thing is Jekyll and Hyde, probably
All right.
Tuesday.
That's what I'm reading next too.
Um, then I've got what else do I have? Oh, I've got the Volsung saga for Sagalong that I got
And
to
you've got
do this
Books
week.
of the New Sun.
Yeah, that's next week. That's a
Oh, you
whole week away.
gotcha. We're just talking about next week.
Yeah. Um, and then still got a short one for my Patreon book club, and I got this month's Patreon book club, which is called Orphans of the Empire. It's about what happened to the orphans from the Foundling Hospital in London,
Mm.
nonfiction one. But I probably won't read that this week. I still want to read. I still got the last voyage of Captain Cook to read. I hope to do that by next Sunday. But also now Aaron Facer has mentioned, and I might be reading Madame Bovary this week as well.
Oh, you know what? I've had that book for a while. I've always wanted to read that and I've never have.
Well, we'll be probably reading it later in the week.
How
You
long of
want
a book
to?
is that? It's not too long, is it?
No, it's just over 300 pages, I think, in a mass market paperback. So
I
I
might
figured,
I might pick that up. I might pick that up after Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
yeah, because I'll probably do that too. Uh, when I started reading SF Heinlein, Asimov, and Clark Ruled, Dune was my favorite, but less well known.
Mm.
So when did you were you sort of under 10 years old when you started reading science fiction, Mark, or was it when you're as going into teen? Because for me, I didn't read a whole lot before I was sort of probably 12 or 13 or 14 years old, and I only started reading a little bit then, and I really didn't start reading in earnest until I was probably in my late teens, I think.
I remember you saying that before, Sean. That really surprises me. I was reading books from the time I could read. Like I remember being in third grade and reading full-size books, you know.
I read, but not a lot. That's the thing, because I remember doing like I remember being under 10 or around 10 years old and doing. I don't know if they still do these kind of things, but you'd have to do a speech in front of the class. So
Uh-huh.
you take a subject and you look at stuff. And I remembered two that I did, and one was on Charles Chaplin, the silent actor, and I'd read stuff about him, like obviously not detailed stuff, but I read stuff to in order to do this speech. And the other one was on David Livingston, and I used basically the book by Elspeth Huxley, her biography of him. So those were things that I read probably around 10, 11 years old. So but and then I read sort of maybe around 14, 15. I remember reading Tarzan and uh, the John Carter stuff.
Mhm.
Not, but that's the thing, not a whole lot. Then I quit school when I was 15, so I was out of school, and then I went back when I was 18, and that's when I really started reading heavily.
Mm.
Was I was about 18.
Well, my dad was a reader. He had books around the house, and I always read his books. Plus, I always checked out books from the library all the time. And like I read Dune when I was 10. I read Lord of the Rings when I was 10. Because that's what my dad had. He had books like that around the house.
Mark said he was 11 years old. Neighbor gave him a box. Oh, I remember you talking about that before one time. I remember something about a box of vintage SF.
I don't remember that story.
Yeah, I don't know, but I remember something about that. I remember him saying at some point. But yeah, I just remember, like, and then when I went back to school, like I said, I was 18, but I skipped a year or two because of my age. But I started reading, like there was one English teacher, because we were reading stuff and we had to do these tests, like um The Outsiders, that kind of stuff. And we'd read this stuff, and they'd give this book, and then I'd go home, I'd read it in the evening and say, "Oh, this is crap. Can I just do the test now?" And I didn't like it. So then at Christmas, he went into the storeroom there, and he gave me a stack of books that were for grade 12 and 13. Like there was the Tale of Two Cities, um, the what's the picture of Dorian Gray, and a whole bunch of stuff, like a huge stack of stuff for Christmas holidays. And that didn't even last me through the holidays. Like there was about 15 books.
Yeah.
It didn't even last me. So that's where I really, I think, started in earnest. And I went to the library. I remember picking up uh, Count of Monte Cristo and reading it. And then when I finished it, I realized it was the abridged version. So I bugged the librarian, and she got me a 2 volume unabridged, but it would have been probably the first translation. And so I
Mhm.
reread it, and then I just read all. I just grabbed stuff like crazy. Lots of Andre Norton, yeah. Well, there's a lot of Andre Norton out there. And Freeman said Dad gave him Louis L'Amour novels to read, starting around age 8. Well, I
I'm
read.
not
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I never read Louis L'Amour, but I did read some Zane Grey because my dad liked Zane Grey. So I did read some Zane Grey, but I don't think I ever read Louis L'Amour at that time. I'll be reading some in June for June on the Range.
I picked up a few westerns for June on the Range.
Well, I got to find my copy of that dime novel one. I want to read more of that. I want to read another book out of there, or a story out of there or two. There,
Well, what
who
was that? What was that book that I bought that you
that's
suggested to me?
Yeah, that's the dime novel one. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Hotline, or something his name is. Yeah,
Nice.
uh, it's they're horribly written, but just because of that, they're just fun to read.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I bought them for June on the Range, but I'm not going to read them during June. I'll probably read them in September.
Because because I want to read that, and I want to read another Steam Man of the Plains, the dime novel stuff as well. When I researched my Le Guin video, I found out that Andre Norton was the first woman to become a Grand Master of science fiction. Oh, okay.
Is Andre Norton a female author?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
And Le Guin was second. Oh, okay. That must have been late, though. That must have been sometime. I'm not sure. That must have been in the late '80s or something when that happened because I'm not sure. Because I know Clifford Simak became a Grandmaster. He was the third or fourth, I think, to become Grandmaster.
Do you remember the Dr. Dolittle books, Sean? Do you remember, even if you didn't read them, do you remember seeing them around?
Yeah, and I liked the film that was done with I can't remember his name, but yeah, I know about them, but I've never read them.
Robert Downey Jr.?
What?
Robert Downey Jr.? The new
No.
one? Oh,
Is
so
there
it's
a
not
name?
the new
No, no, oh, God, no. That
one?
that sounds horrible.
Oh, are you talking about the one with Eddie Murphy then?
Oh, what?
Those are the
No,
only two I know about.
I can't think of his name. English. Uh, oh, jeez. I gotta find this now because that's driving me nuts. I didn't know they made other ones. That's just
Yeah,
horrifying. Talk
those
about
are the
horror.
only two that I know about.
Dr. Doolittle. Rex Harrison. Yes, thank you. Rex Harrison. And what's her name? Really, I can't remember her name either. My brain is horrible. Let me see here. Let's go back here. Yes, Andre Norton's Daybreak 2250 was first post-apocalyptic. Yeah, I prefer nicking all of my dad's James Herbert books. Or preferred, yeah, books at 8 years old. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have reading at that age, but I was a morbid kid. And again, Steve's hanging out in the audience. Louis L'Amour showed me a 6 shooter.
Oh God, Steve.
Brian. Oh, hi, Brian.
Oh, hi, Brian.
I'm driving and listening. Further messaging would likely be, oh, if I, yes,
Yeah,
probably.
right.
Don't encourage him, Jenny. Don't encourage. No idea that they did. I hate it when they do this. Like you don't need. It's like it's. I always remember this interview with Eddie Albert. I think it was because there was what's the Rome film with Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn and Eddie Albert.
Oh, uh, Holiday in
Yeah,
Rome or something like that.
yeah. And there was an interview with Eddie Albert, and they were saying, "Oh, did you hear that they're remaking this?" And his face just turned. He's going, "Are you serious? Like it's just why?" And I just always remember that. Don't,
Live
Jenny.
on the wild side, Brian. We don't want to get him killed.
But yeah, there's all these remakes of everything. I just don't know why. It's like, can't anybody come up with anything new?
Well, the Eddie Murphy version was kind of funny. And then I haven't seen the new version, and I think that that's Robert Downey Jr., but it doesn't look good to me, so I'm not going to watch it.
The only thing he ever did good was the Chaplain.
Are you
That's
talking
the only.
about Robert Downey Jr.? Oh, I actually liked his Sherlock Holmes movie. I mean, it wasn't super Sherlock Holmesy, but I still liked it. And then I also liked him in Weird Science.
I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Oh, that was one of my favorite 80s movies. I love that movie.
I don't know who Tony Stark is, but okay.
Tony Stark is Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
He is good as Tony Stark, actually. That's a good point, Jenny.
I need to get a defibrillator. And if there's any truth to that,
There's
I
not. I don't know. There's no Taylor Swift Doctor Doolittle movie.
no Forbidden Planet
Oh, Forbidden Planet.
with
Oh,
Leslie Nielsen and Walter Pigeon, and I forget her name again, and Robbie the Robot. Oh, I might, I might be busy. I might be busy on the 19th.
yeah. I mean, he wasn't the same Sherlock Holmes as the book, but I absolutely liked him in Sherlock Holmes. It was good. I liked it.
When Aaron was here, or I think it was here. I think he forced me to watch one of them. I think I dozed off somewhere uh, during it, but I have to admit it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was good.
I didn't know he was a musician. I just the only thing that I really liked, I really liked his portrayal of Charles Chaplin, though. In Chaplin, it's Dickie Attenborough was the Dickie Attenborough, Richard Attenborough directing.
I cannot deal with Charlie Chaplin because he disgusts me as a person. I don't know. He kept marrying children over and over again, and he got older, and all of his wives kept getting younger every time. I don't know. I think he was gross.
I have no idea who the Jonas Brothers is, so that doesn't work. That's fine. I have no idea who the Jonas Brothers are. It
I
was,
did not.
and well, he says he didn't force me. I remember a gun held to my head, so.
Give
Well,
him hell, Jenny. Give him hell.
what was it? There was something else that you were saying, like oh yeah, the westerns. Like she's never seen the original of some. Like she's only seen the remakes. I think there
Like
was.
a like of what westerns?
I can't remember now. Oh, I didn't know. Did he play Oppenheimer? Oh, see that I didn't know. That I could maybe believe him as Oppenheimer. Yes, I could maybe believe him. So that I would look at. Yeah. I always forget Jeremy Brett. Yeah. Steve comes to the rescue there. Jeremy Brett. But he was also in Mary. Is it Mary Poppins? He was also in Mary Poppins as well. Everybody's silent.
Well, I was trying to think of the Sherlock Holmes series that I saw with that actor whose name I can never get right. His name is like Cumberbund or something.
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Cumberbatch. There you go. He did like a Sherlock Holmes series, and I liked the first few episodes of that.
Yeah, it was updated, and I remember when that was advertised and the saying it was doing bring the modern times. I go, oh God, what are they doing? But then I heard who was going to do it, and I thought, okay, it's watching, and I did enjoy it. I liked what they
Yeah,
did with it.
yeah. I
Uh,
didn't like the Hound of the Baskervilles that they had. I didn't like that episode.
oh, so Downey didn't play Oppenheimer in Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, that would have been great. Okay, so because yeah, that's where I think he could do well, is something like that. I didn't hold it to your head. I had it in my hand at the time as we were talking about movie uh, choose. It was pure coincidence. Uh, yeah, because the elephant in the room here is a singer, a certain singer. Oh yeah, until what's his name came along. But I still like Basil Rathbone as Tom. Uh, but uh, and my brain, I'm dangerous at times. Um, but the Granada one, the newer one, Steve had said it back here. Jeremy Brett, just edges in front of him. But I like other portrayals though. Yeah, 310 to Yuma and Magnificent Seven. Still to watch True Grit. Uh, I was, but the thing is, I never was a huge fan of the original Magnificent Seven anyway. So, but True Grit, I did watch the new. I liked aspects of the new True Grit, but I did not like the portrayal of the girl. I can't remember her name, and the Texas Ranger. I did not like the portrayal. There were aspects, and what's his name did really well, and whoever they got for Lucky Ned Pepper he was not on the screen for very long, but he was absolutely marvelous. And
Uh,
and Brandy's going,
no, I've seen both of them. It's just been so long since
yeah,
I've seen them, I don't remember them.
Cillian Murphy. I don't know if that's the pronunciation. Played opera. I don't know who that is.
I have to ask Jenny, did you ever see the movie Maverick with I forgot the actor's name, but it also had Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson in it.
Oh, you're talking about the from the original series
Yeah, they
with
did a movie.
yeah, I know, and James Garner. It's James
James
Garner.
Garner, yeah, that's his name.
Yeah. The old TV series is fabulous. It's it's
Yep.
it's wonderful.
I didn't like any of the old westerns. I'm not a westerns person, but Mark has Cumberbatch as Khan here. If you're going to tell me you liked him as Khan, them are fighting words right there. Fighting words. He was, and it wasn't Cumberbatch's fault or Cumberbatch's fault. It was the writer of the script. That was not Khan. He did not have miraculous magical blood, and he was not completely emotionless and cold like he was in that movie. I was furious. Furious was what they did with Khan. But anyways, I was,
We'll just pass on that one. Freeman saying
it's
Downey
your
played a
abs.
supporting role in Oppenheimer, won the Oscar. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I took it the wrong way then. I thought he was playing Oppenheimer because that kind of would have made sense. But I loved Maverick, and that was one of the first roles that Clint Eastwood played was on the TV series as well. I think.
Well, I saw all the old westerns. My grandfather watched them all, and then I saw all the Clint Eastwood movies because my dad liked Clint Eastwood, and I watched them all with him when I was a kid. Not a fan.
Oh, Lucky Ned Pepper was played by Barry Pepper, which is okay. Yeah, no, that I don't know. I've never seen the guy before. I never seen him in anything else. But I thought his portrayal of Lucky Ned Pepper in the New True Grit was like that was the highlight of the movie for me. And yeah, Rockford Files was fabulous. Uh, with his father, was it Noah Barry Jr.? I think his father. I wouldn't dare to fight Brandy. But
But
yeah,
you
I
know,
remember. I remember when he just died not too long ago, within the last 10 years. James Garner. But yeah, he's a fabulous, fabulous actor. He did some really funny westerns like "Support Your Local Sheriff," where he's a perfect gun shooter, and he goes into the town that's has no the sheriff keeps getting killed all the time, and he does this. And then "Support Your Local Gunfighter" was another one. And was he in the one that was, yeah, it was Skin Game too, where him and his partner, like, it's an old west, but his partner is a black guy, and it's still the time of slavery. So they would go into a town, he would sell the black guy, and the black guy would escape, and then go to the next town and sell him again. And it was really good film. It was really good because it was showing up the stupidity of slavery and everything too. It was really good. Keep meaning to try more westerns and see if I'm not a fan. Hopefully, I might enjoy some now. Well, like I like the older westerns. Even though they're it's like uh, the saying that John Ford said, "Print the legend." Like you don't print the reality, you print the legend, and that's where a lot of them are good. Barry Pepper is a good actor. He's always gives a good performance on screen,
Mhm.
even if the film is crap. And yeah, I've never.
I don't know
Like,
who he is. I can't even picture him. It's been so long since I saw either of the True Grit movies.
yeah, well, he was in the second one, and he's not on screen that long. Like he's it's a smallish part. Blazing Saddles. Okay, yeah,
Is that the one with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder?
yes.
Okay, that was funny.
That's where they stole the line from Treasure of the Sierra Madre, where badges. We don't need no stinking badges. I've memorized every line in Blazing Saddles.
That's
Get
great.
Ninja into frame. Get Ninja into frame.
Come here, baby. Come a little closer. Steve wants to say hi.
Fort Apache. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there's a heck of a lot of Fort Apache. It might have been a book, but it's a film. It's 60s, I think. Is that right? Can't remember. It's a long time since I've seen it. Oh yeah, High Noon is that has the best performance, I would say, of what's his Lon Chaney Jr. That has the best performance of Lon Chaney Jr. And Gary Cooper is really good in that as well. That's a fabulous film. It's basically done in time. It's like only an hour long, and it's yeah, and somebody's gonna say they probably redid it. Yeah, he says in real time. Yeah, Aaron's saying yeah, the Fort Apache is film, but it might have been a book. I don't know. That's the thing. But yeah, no, the it's really. Oh, another one is My Darling Clementine is really good. Oxbow Incident. Oh, Oxbow Incident. A lot of people are going to start read. It took me a long time to get around to reading that book,
Are
but
these all westerns?
yeah, it's a western. Yeah,
I'm like, I
so
don't know any of these names.
but it's a western, but it's not a western. The book is. The book it takes you. It's a western, but it takes you out of westerns as well.
Because I was
Um,
like, I don't recognize any of these titles you guys are talking about. I'm thinking they've got to be westerns.
Men, you are about to embark on a great crusade to stamp out runaway decency in the West. Yeah, I didn't care for the book so much, but I loved the film, and I think they did a really good adaptation for the film, and it was really good. But the book I found a little weak myself, but I know a lot of people like it. But the True Grit I really liked as a book and the original film, and I even liked the second one, but there was issues that I had with the second one.
Yeah, I
Um,
like the book True Grit. I mean, I read it years and years ago, but I loved it when I read it.
yeah, I really like, but to me the best, one of the best Western. I'm not a huge reader of westerns. I might have read 50 or 60 westerns, but it's Oxbow. The Oxbow incident is to me the best western I've ever read. Um, and I like the what's the name of it now? The John Wayne one where he's looking for Natalie Wood. Well, the actress Natalie Wood, and it has the first captain of the Enterprise on there too, Jeffrey Hunter. I can't think of the name of it. Somebody will pop up. Um, Searchers, yeah, Searchers. The book is not the greatest. Yeah, Searchers. Yeah, Searchers. um, but the story that the book was based on sort of is fabulous. It's a great story. Um, that's a great film. That's one to me one of the best westerns that have ever been made.
Okay.
Is the characters and uh, John Ford is one of the best directors of westerns as well. But Wild Bill Wellman did the Oxbow incident, and that's fabulous as well. Brandy's bored. We better change the topic from westerns.
Well, my cat is vying for my attention down here. I think he wants me to go let him outside.
Uh,
What is it, baby?
nah. Too many times at the Odeon in Leeds, Steve. Those John Ford films influenced Curse. Yeah, and it's kind of weird because you get then later American filmmakers that are influenced by Kurosawa. It's like a full circle. Bye, Mark. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, Mark.
Jenny says bye, Mark, as well. Yeah, no, Western. I love Westerns. Like see, that's the thing. There's certain genres for me that work better on the screen. The crime ones, like mysteries, always work better on screen. But I'm now in the past like 10 years really gotten into reading, like at least the classic, the older golden age mysteries and crime novels. And westerns had always worked better for me on the screen than they did in books for some reason. Well, I don't want to know how he got those six-pack abs. But yeah, it's like it's the same thing as I can watch sort of Jane Austen sort of television historical dramas, but I have trouble reading her stuff.
Oh, I know. You never did make it through your Jane Austen read, did you?
Oh, I do got to get back to it at some point, but
Why are you going to torture yourself? Are you actually going to read all of
yeah, I do. I because I want to see
them?
because if there is something that I like in them, and it's yeah, and plus somebody bought me the whole Oxford World Classics set of them too, so I'm a bit obligated to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think that's about it. We're gonna sign off here. You're back next week, aren't you, Brandy? I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and then 2 weeks from today.
It's Jenny.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that.
you're gonna have to send me the picture of your icon there. I think you said that it was an AI thing that was done. I guess you could put your own pictures of yourself into the AI thing, and then you get an AI version of yourself.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that's what that is, but I've heard people do that before. Putting up the filter just to annoy Garrett. In a mask, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like you can just not if you do like, there's got to be a way of putting up something like that, or just not have the camera on. You can go like this and not have the camera on, but you can still hear me. I think.
Yeah. Now I can't hear you.
Yeah, because I muted the mic. But yeah, okay. Well, thanks for everybody for stopping by, and we'll see you next week. And
Okay.
hopefully, I'll have a few more books read and finishing Le Terror.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.